So yeah, we're going to be going through some synthesis, through journey maps, kind of getting into that middle space between once you've done your research, what do you do with it next? A little bit about me. So as Chrissy mentioned, I'm a UX manager at CrowdStrike, a cybersecurity company. I'm managing a team of 5 designers, writers, researchers, and UX QA. I do mentoring and speaking, and I've been dealing with quarantine by just stockpiling as many plants as possible. I'm making bacon waffles. In terms of my background, I've history in in general research, marketing and sales. Worked in healthcare, insurance and analytics, and also a fellow bootcamp grad, and have done so many hackathons, courses, and pro bono projects to get to where I am today. So you've done research, now what? All this content, all this information, we got to figure out what to do with it. So moving from one phase of the UX process, when we're conducting our interviews, we're trying to get questions answered, we're trying to identify what some potential problems might be. Moving into the analyze phase, figuring out what those outputs might be, trying to understand what some potential insights that we can use to take things forward might look like. And that's where we'll be focusing today. So tying back to research, research is really meant to be this North Star for design. It helps us understand our user goals, motivations, needs, and behavior. And it's really meant to help us reduce ambiguity. We want to get rid of all the uncertainty, all the chaos in the problem space where we're not sure what to do or what direction to go, and get us to a point where we can have concept that we can test and work through, and ultimately a design that has a clear point of view. And again, there's different types of research that answer different types of questions. As y'all have seen, even going through some of your initial research questions and interviews. And they'll have different types of outputs and different types of results through the different methods you might be using. And with that, we'll get different types of data, quantitative, qualitative, or some mix of the two, depending on what method you might be using. So looking at this a slightly different way, UX is a way to reduce risk through evidence. It allows us to refine a problem before just running wild, investing a ton of money in developer time and energy in building something. We want to understand and refocus the goal first. And we think about what kind of evidence we use to help de-risk a given project. It's user research. And synthesis is really just that way of organizing and analyzing that evidence to find actionable insights. And looking at this another way, how to synthesize research. We start at the top. Also, I love this graph, by the way. I did not create it. I have referenced the bottom. I think I'm going to throw a bunch of us, links at y'all later. So there's some great gems to dig into after the fact. But starting out, you have all this data, you have all of your observations. You've done your interviews, you might have certain quotes that you can go back to, you might have certain observations, you might have some key patterns that you started to observe. You want to start organizing them, just clustering your information together. That brings you to this information bucket where it's like, we're not just bits of data anymore, we're starting to get real solid facts. And then from there, you want to layer in, what we know about our users, understanding why they do the things that they do. And we can then get to a point of understanding their underlying motivations and needs. Then when we layer on things like, domain knowledge and business knowledge and figuring out what business problem we have to solve and how that connects back to our user needs, and really getting to a sense of what is all this? What is this problem and how does it potentially impact us? That's when we get to something that's an actionable insight and something you want to take action on and prioritize and invest time and energy and people's man hours into it. Another way to think about synthesis is this idea of moving from a really abstract space where it's we have this problem, big, fuzzy, nebulous cloud of a problem. We're not quite sure what it will ultimately look like, what the end result will ultimately be. Synthesis allows us to go from this strategy space, which is very abstract, this problem space where we're still trying to figure out what the user needs are, and move to a place that is more concrete, going through the scope, identifying those user needs, figuring out those initial requirements, moving then into a structure space where we get into information architecture and interaction design. We start to think about user flows. We start to get to the more the cementing of what it's going to end up looking like. to then into the skeleton, where we have things like, our wireframes. We're thinking about interface design, navigation design, site maps, and other pieces, all the way up to surface. And that's where we have our visual design pieces. We have the things that the aesthetics. And you need to start at the very bottom to make sure there's a solid foundation for that top. So that's what synthesis allows us to do as we move through it. And this probably is something that most of y'all have seen or like have potentially done before, affinity mapping, a great synthesis method to have in your toolkit. So for affinity mapping, you can really do this in a variety of ways. There's no wrong way, but there's several different ways you can group the information based on what's important to you. There's a couple of examples of like some potential outcomes of affinity mapping, but it can sometimes be, grouping it by participant, grouping it by different themes, whatever makes the most sense for your project and what makes sense for the questions that you've been asking. The first step in that is just documenting everything. So you have all these interviews, you have recordings, maybe you have a bunch of notes. You want to dump that all out into a bunch of Post-its, which we have like that very like that what you typically associate with UX designers, just like the Post-its all over the wall, like that. That's that visual. That's that point right there. So you can see behind my wall. You don't never stop doing it once you start. Really, the point is to write down those key takeaways and have like one thought per Post-it. And again, just start. It can feel a little overwhelming first, but once you start churning it out and get everything going, it makes it a lot easier. Once you've dumped out all of your observations, your behaviors, and your quotes, then you can go into things like clustering and starting to bring things together and saying, oh, hey, I think this actually ties back to this other Post-it that we're seeing, this other takeaway. And it can be nice if you're doing this within your teams, starting to see what some of these similarities are in the observations your team has observed. And really with the clustering, just grouping like with like, figuring out like what pairs well together. And through that process, you'll start to be able to answer questions like, what patterns are we starting to see here? What are some of these similarities? What are these big chunks of information that we're starting to pull together? And trying to see what those connections are. Even if it's like on the surface, they might be, like not the most embedded connection, but just starting to lay that all out helps set the stage. Once you've done that and you've started to cluster your different takeaways together, you then can like assign some themes. You want to label them. So if you have, a big bucket of takeaways that reflect that, one of the biggest pain points is, I don't know, booking a flight, you might want to have that as a label for your cluster. And there's like no wrong way to do it. It just very much depends on, what's important to you, figuring out how this ties back to your original research question and what's most important getting out of this process. Once you've done that and like feel really good about the themes that you put together, the clusters and patterns that you package together as a team, then you can get into like, okay, so like, what are some of these insights here? Let's define some of this. What do we want to do with all of this? And then you can start to prioritize. It might come out that, hey, this seems to be like the biggest area of concern that we should be focusing our time on. This is the biggest problem that we should be focusing our initial sprint on. You can start to do that once you go through these steps. I think the other biggest thing is to not rush this process. Doing research takes time. Conducting synthesis takes time. It's something that can sometimes be skipped over just because it seems like a tedious process, but it's so critical, especially to get those insights, those juicy insights that will help you define what the true user need is, what the real problem to solve is, and help you take your next steps. Another thing I think that could be a really helpful resource is this insight canvas. And it helps you kind of bucket some of those, some of your clusters together, like behaviors by states, relationships, seeing how these things play in together, some of the consequences and meanings, I think is also a really interesting bucket that can be a useful framing when you're going through affinity mapping. Once you've done that, they also have like this neat like insight statement at the bottom where you have like, your persona name, like they need to do this because blank, which can also, it looks a bit familiar. It has a similar structure to a user story. So that can help you later on once you have some of this groundwork laid. Again, there's a bunch of other ways that you can synthesize your research findings. Some of these things like empathy maps are a popular way to do that. That can be really helpful identifying your user and your personas. Your journey maps, and there's several variations on that. We could spend hours talking through the right way to do it. We'll just cover a couple of them today, and we'll do a quick little exercise, everyone's favorite. And do a sample empathy map. And actually, I'm going to take myself out of this so I can type. So for this activity, I need a volunteer. The question is, we've been in quarantine, we've been largely tethered to our homes. Does someone have like a trip that they want to plan, or thinking about a getaway they want to get to once, they're able to do that again? Does someone want to share what that might be?
I'll share.
Thank you.
You just need a trip, right? So
Yes.
I was talking to my friends about planning maybe a trip to the Southamptons to just chill and enjoy the sun later on in June when we're all vaccinated.
Nice. So have you started to look at potential places you might or potential ways to get there, places you might want to stay?
We've just been looking on Airbnb, and we would just drive there. It's not that far from, like, I'm in the city, and Hamptons are maybe like 2 hours out. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Thank you for sharing that. So to fill this out, we're going to put in the middle, this is for planning a trip coming out of quarantine. Do call you trip planner. And we have a couple of things that we have heard. We've heard Iris say that we can write down here. Some of those things we're talking about planning a trip with friends once everyone's fully vaccinated. They've started to what do you call it? Started to look at like Airbnbs. What are how would we describe the goal of this? Does anyone have something they want to shout out?
Is it more like I'm looking for a way to find, is it more, of course, this is a motivation of the user, or are we going to take cues from what she just said?
Yeah, let's go based off of what she said. Like, what do we think some of those goals might be for this person?
Maybe to finally see friends again, since everybody's going to be vaccinated.
Yes, to finally, let's write that one down. Finally see friends again. Once vaccinated. What else? Are there some other goals that we think might come up for this?
So she mentioned something about, it's 2 hours away, right? It's easy. I wonder what statement we can get from that. Like,
ooh, yeah, here, let's put it's 2 hours away. It's an easy trip. Yeah.
so it's like need a way to get to, is it Southampton's? Sorry, I missed it. Would it be like location? I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's not
need a way to get to. So.
Yeah. Yeah, part of it's very much this goal of like need to get from point A to point B. There's this other goal of finally seeing friends again once vaccinated. And again, I think that the really thinking is that like people could have multiple goals and multiple reasons for doing the things that they do, and being able to pull those things out and observe them is what this is meant to help us do. Are there any things that we think we can add maybe in like the see, hear, or think and feel part of the chart that wants to shout out? We can take any wild guess. I just want to put some stuff down here because we're
She wants to feel connected with her friends.
Ooh, yes. Let's write it down. Feel connected with friends. Nice. All right, what else we got?
She did mention that she was looking at Airbnb websites. Somewhere that could be on C.
Yes, looking at Airbnb. Perfect. What else we got?
If they don't plan to drive their cars, they might be looking at like rental car sites to rent a car to go together.
Yes, rental car sites. Good point. All right, what else? Julie, anything maybe in like think and feel or pain points?
Possibly another thing in the C field is I'm not sure about what's there to do in the Southamptons, to be honest, but they might be checking like the weather, like upcoming weather, to see they might want to pick like a good weekend or whatever their goal is.
Yes. Good call. All right, what else?
I think a pain point could be like finding a good weekend that works for everyone, like a middle ground or a common weekend for everyone.
Absolutely. That's always the struggle with group trip. Weekend that works for everyone. What else do we got?
Finding things to do amidst COVID. I'm sure like things are still closed. There probably aren't as many activities available.
Yes, finding things to do amidst COVID. Places may be closed. Good call out. All right, what else?
For think and feel, it might be nice to just have a change of scenery. So,
Yes,
about the trip.
absolutely. Oh wait, this is not the text box. I want to take a text box so I can write down what you just said, because I think that's exactly, it is definitely a driver for a lot of folks. Wanting a change of scenery. Absolutely. A good call out.
Maybe some people feel like anxious reconnecting with people since it's been so long.
Very good point. Anxious about reconnecting. It's been a long time and we've had to be huddled away from each other. Did anything else come to surface for folks? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Maybe like here, oh, I heard there's like some good bars or like that has outdoor dining.
Yeah.
Like referrals or online stuff.
Yes. Referrals for activities, bars that might have outdoor dining. Absolutely. Nice. Yeah, I think we have a really good start here. So we can see that like just off of this, one potential goal, one potential journey, a bunch of different things could be at play for that different user. They might have potentially conflicting thoughts and feelings that align with their goals. And again, there's just a lot of potential stimuli that they may be experiencing when they're going through and trying to do a particular thing. Another way we can tie this back to synthesis is, now that we've looked at it from, the user level, we can start to look at this chronologically in the form of a customer journey map. So this is a sample map. And again, for journey maps, it's kind of similar to the affinity maps in that this can look so many different ways depending on the information that's important to you. Most often you'll see stages, like these big high level buckets up top. And for this one, it happened to be awareness, consideration, decision, and post-decision, but it can really be anything. And there could be like 20 stages. Really depends on how in-depth your journey map needs to be. And there's usually a place for like objectives or actions, like what the user is doing at each step, each phase of the process, or what they want to be able to do at each phase of the process. From there, there's usually something around, their experience. What are they thinking or feeling? Kind of similar to what we were seeing in the empathy map, phased out throughout the stages of the journey. Sometimes it's also, what their potential thoughts are and what potential pain points there might be. They're also something that might not always be relevant, but depending on what your journey map is focused on, it might be useful touch points. For this particular project, touch points were important because we wanted to take a look at all the different communication channels for this given customer buying life insurance. So that's what this is meant to visualize, going through the stages of learning about life insurance, considering it, testing out different tools, deciding to get it, actually going through the application and going through underwriting, to then post-decision where they're, they have customer service, they're paying their premiums monthly, potentially filing a claim. And there's different objectives they have at each step, different touch points. Like for the awareness stage, they might see like an advertisement, they might see like a Google AdWords thing, they might get an email. In consideration, they might be looking at like a landing page or a blog. And then for this particular journey, for the decision, it might be, over the course of a phone call if they're doing it with an agent and signing up over the phone or on a website, an online application. And then for post-decision, it might be, emails and phone calls reminding them that their payments are coming up. And then we have different thoughts throughout the different stages, different important parts of the experience. And then another layer that can be a helpful part of a journey map is opportunities. It isn't always relevant. It depends on if you're trying to use the journey map to understand the current process and figure out whether or not there's anything you can do to improve that experience for that particular user. So the opportunity bucket can be helpful on that front and help address any potential pain points. But again, you can pick and choose what sections make the most sense to you. There's so many variances. If you look at if you like search like user journey maps online, there's like a million different templates. They all look different. And at least for me, it was very overwhelming at first. I'm like, is there like one right way to do it? And I learned kind of isn't. You make it what you want. Some people even mash up journey maps and service blueprints. You can really do what you want with it. It's as long as it helps you, it helps your team. Either drive alignment, decide what's important, decide what you're going to work on, and help you advance the next phase of the process. That's really what this is meant to do. And that helps if you keep the journey map contained around a particular goal, a particular phase of the journey, and a particular type of user or persona. So now that we've talked through a potential example of the journey map, I have another activity. So thinking back to just a moment ago when we were doing the empathy map exercise, talking about our trip planner, who's potentially planning a trip to the Hamptons with some friends, maybe feeling a bit anxious about reconnecting with folks, looking at a bunch of Airbnb websites, maybe looking at rental cars, maybe getting some recommendations, might have some challenges trying to find a weekend. What do we think, if we were to start at the very top, what some of the steps might be for this process of planning a trip with friends, going to the Hamptons. Does anyone want to call anything out?
Having the idea, maybe.
Yes. So we're starting off with like an idea phase, or like awareness, like we're deciding we're going to do a thing. Let's make this bigger. Good call out. All right, what else we got? So once we have the idea, we're like, okay, we've decided, it would be cool. Let's maybe try to go to the Hamptons for the weekend. What might be like a next step in that process?
Planning.
Yes. Taking that step, maybe do some research, seeing if it's feasible, seeing what's open, maybe. You can get vacation days. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so what do we think might come after like planning or research? You have the idea, starting to look around, seeing what's available, starting to put together the pieces, figure out the dates. What might come next?
Maybe
Booking?
yeah, booking.
Sorry, Amanda.
Yeah. No. You read my mind. See, Moon Squad's same wavelength. Yes, I always say that.
Love it. And yes, booking is a perfect next step because once you've decided, you've like looked everything up, you figured out, what makes sense. You need to pull the trigger and book the car, book the Airbnb, whatever it is. All right. Now that we have booking, what might come next?
The actual trip.
Yeah.
So would that be vacation? Whatever it is.
Yeah, like traveling to, like the actual travel. On the trip. And then a last stage might just be, returning home. With the memories. But yeah, I think we have some pretty good phases here and pretty good steps laid out. How about we take a stab at the next level of this, the user actions? Some of these, again, might be just a repeat of what the phase is, but there might be a couple other things that are having it that are taking place at each step. So we want to try and call out what some of those nitty-gritty things might be. So what do we think are some potential actions the user might take in the idea phase, like the awareness phase?
Maybe the user is inspired by seeing a commercial or seeing like a Instagram post or something along the lines, and then gets the idea.
Yes, absolutely. Watch a commercial or view Instagram post. Yes. Here, I'll make this smaller so we can potentially add more. That is perfect. Are there any other actions we think might be taking place at this early stage?
Maybe they just got vaccinated and, they got the itch to travel.
Get vaccinated. Feel excited. Well, I guess it's more of a feeling. So we'll just put get vaccinated and we'll add feeling after. All right, any other things you want to add to this like idea phase or awareness stage? Others, we can move on over to planning and research. Here, let's open up this bucket. So planning and research, what do we think are some actions that might take place during this phase? I think some folks called some of them out earlier. And we talked about a couple of them in the empathy mapping exercise. Does anyone want to call any of those out?
Yeah, finding a weekend that works for everyone.
Yes. Finding a weekend that works for everyone. Pivotal activity. All right, what else we got?
Browsing Airbnb.
Mm-hmm. Browsing Airbnb. I'm gonna put dash there. Not what I wanted. We're gonna go. All right, I'm gonna leave that alone because it doesn't want to format. Browsing Airbnb. All right, what else we got?
Choosing a location.
Yes, choosing a location. All right. Anything else you want to add to this stage?
Reading reviews.
Mm-hmm. Reading reviews.
Finding things to do.
Yes. Finding things to do.
Yeah, I was going to say this would be when they look into the referrals that they got from friends or whoever.
Yeah, it's like look into or making like ask for referrals.
Yeah.
Referrals from friends. Yes. Smaller because we got a lot of really good actions here. Make space for all of them. Nice. Now this is great. A lot of really solid actions at this stage. Shifting over to the booking, what actions might we see then?
Pulling out the credit card.
Mm-hmm. Pull out credit card. Maybe it's a little Venmo. Action among the friends. Any other things that we think might come up at this stage?
Booking the Airbnb or wherever.
Yes, indeed. Booking the Airbnb. Yeah, the main piece. Got to make sure you book that Airbnb. Otherwise, you know, not going anywhere. All right. I think those are some good ones for booking. All right. Now on to the next stage. Travel. If you're going to and from, or you're actually on vacation. And yeah, we probably should just label that vacation like you had suggested, Kritzia. That is much more descriptive. Actions. What do we think might be taking place that what the user might be doing during this phase?
Going to restaurants? Like, is it the actual?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the actual act is like they're going to the restaurants. It might be relaxing on the beach.
Sleeping all day.
Mhm.
Just kidding.
I mean, that is a perfectly valid vacation tactic. So I support it. All right. Anything else you want to add for the vacation phase?
We still sound like we're scared of going out.
Yes. And that's okay. I feel like doing this exercise like in a non-pandemic time would likely be very different.
It's so dark. This is a dark
Yeah.
exercise.
Yeah. Dark, maybe hope, but also dark. For our last stage, the return home. What are some actions that might be taking place at this phase?
Driving. I was gonna say the same thing. Driving back.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. We're driving back.
Unpacking.
Mm-hmm. The worst.
Maybe they've already started reminiscing.
Yes. Reminiscing. Okay. It auto-corrected for me, thankfully. Anything else you want to add?
I think that's about it. It's like saying goodbye to friends. I mean, you don't really, but separating ways.
Yeah, we could do like saying goodbye, especially if like people are coming from different places.
I was thinking that they're probably carpooling. I was wondering how many cars, and then I guess for this phase, they're probably dropping each other off at home. You know, like they have to go to each house.
Off at home. Yes. I'll add that. So like some coordination in there. All right, make this smaller so we can fit everything. Okay, that's as good as it's gonna look. All right, yeah, no, we have some really solid actions, I think, for each phase. Now we can go into touch points. So touch points, it can sometimes be, it's like an app, it could also be something like an email, a phone call, a flyer, a face-to-face interaction. It can really be a bunch of different things. Are there any touch points that we think might work for the idea phase, idea or awareness phase?
Would this be listing it down? Like if it's Instagram, for example, then we'll take a cue that it's, you know, from your phone, browsing my phone, or just like mobile phone.
Yes, that's exactly it. We have already have like our mobile phone, like Instagram app. Instagram app. Exactly. No, it's a good one. What else might be a touch point at this phase?
Ads in like a web browser or something like that.
Absolutely. So you have like a web ad, could be like Google ad, Facebook, ads everywhere, any other ad.
The mic on your phone. Just kidding.
Probably though, probably.
Let me stop contributing tonight. It's just
No, I love it. Everyone keep contributing, please. Don't leave me alone up here. Any other touch points you want to add at this phase?
I was thinking of like a friend getting the vaccine earlier than the friend group, and that friend is the one that's like, I can travel, I want you to come with me, everyone get vaccinated, you know. So I guess you could just put it as like friend referral, vaccinated friend message. Referral. Yeah.
Like a text message or like social media, like a DM from a friend. Vax alert. Yes, good call out. All right, we have some solid touch points for that first phase. All right, so then for the planning and research phase, what might some touch points be?
Airbnb.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like if they have like a Google Doc. This is what I do with my friends. We have like a Google Doc, an Excel sheet or stuff. Yelp. Sorry, I'm already off.
Yeah, absolutely.
TripAdvisor.
Bring them on. TripAdvisor. Yep.
The weather app.
Yes, indeed.
Facebook groups.
Yes.
I don't like
smaller,
but yeah, groups.
All right. Yeah, we have some good touch points for planning and research. Now on the booking side, what might some touch points be?
Airbnb again.
Yeah. Airbnb like checkout page, maybe.
And sorry, Lynn.
Mm-hmm. Venmo app. Yeah.
It should be it. Yeah.
All right.
Account app.
Oh, which one?
Bank account app like Chase or something.
Yeah.
Yes, bank account app. Like, can I afford to go on this trip? Let's look. Oh boy. All right. So then
Good
in the
question.
vacation phase, what might some touch points be?
House rental.
Rental app might be like, might be using like, well, I guess if you're driving a car, I was gonna say it might be Uber or Lyft, but now you're renting a car. Well, it could also get, maybe they aren't renting a car, so we'll just put
Lyft, Yelp happens here as well.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't plan happens well on vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, these are solid. All right, returning home. What are some touch points that we might see returning home?
Gas station.
Yeah.
Texting friends, or so I really like that idea of like, if you're dropping off friends, what does that mean? What's the touch point there?
Yeah, because it could be
Google
like
Maps.
yes. Good call out, Google Maps, because got to navigate all the way back to the city. Yeah, these are good. All right. Now we've gone through our actions. We know what the user's doing at each phase. We have a sense of some of the touch points, things they're interacting with at each phase. Now let's talk about what they might be feeling at each phase. So we're going to represent this through smileys because then, again, journey map, you can make it what you want. You can do all kinds of things, represent feelings. We're going to use smileys for this. So we have our, happy, we have our like meh, and we have like a, I hate it. And so let's go through phase by phase and just to call out what we think that the user might be feeling at that phase. All right, who wants to start with idea phase, what this person might be feeling?
Happy. They're excited.
Yes, they're planning that trip. They're gonna see some friends. So let's put a happy phase. Yeah, all right. Planning and research. How do you think they might be feeling?
I feel like it depends on the user. Like some people would feel miserable, with all the
True.
details, and then others are going to be so happy because they love planning. So yeah.
That's a good note. So maybe it's like, and this also ties back to like when you do a journey, thinking about like what your persona is. So if it's like our planner persona, they might like love this phase, enjoying getting everything organized. But if it's someone who maybe, we'll just call it a non-planner persona for now because we don't need to get cute with the labels. Non-planner persona, hating their life because they hate details, and we all have that friend or are that friend, and it's okay. There's room for everybody. I'm planning the trips. All right, so we have our. So we'll break this out. So we'll have for the for our planner persona, we'll have them as happy, and then for our non-planner persona, have them as not loving it. All right, booking phase. What do you think they might be feeling?
I think this also depends as well on the person. I think some people might be happy that it's kind of solidified, and other people are like, that's a lot of dollar signs.
Yes, here, we'll just add two paths again. So maybe we'll put like, they're like happy that it's solidified. Planning is done. And then for other folks, it might be kind of nerve-wracking, stressful because of cost. Yeah, absolutely. Let's scoot these things over because we are crowding into our other phases. Here we go. All right, then the vacation phase. What do we think will be a good feeling to put there?
They should be like so excited about the day right? Looking forward to it. Then again, there's some stressful events about, oh my gosh, people are not ready. Oh my God, we're all waiting for everyone. Just the reality of being with a group.
Yes, no, absolutely. So we can even do like for the planner persona, they're relaxing, happy to be away with friends. But then, there might be this other element of it where trying to coordinate the large group, you're herding cats, and it's a whole thing. Herding cats. Returning home. What feelings do we think might come up during that phase?
Can't wait to be back already. Oh, I'm dreading work.
Yes, yeah, we'll put sad face because no one wants to go back to work. Should we put that there? Yeah, I think we did a great job on these feelings. Here, let me get rid of this. Okay, now pain points. I actually covered some of this earlier on, so we could it's probably easy for us to call some of them out. What might some pain points be during the idea or awareness phase? Things that might be stressful or annoying or just like not super fun.
I guess
Being indecisive.
Oh, I missed you spoke first. Sorry, my it doesn't pop out and tell me who the speaker is, sadly. So feel free to go.
Kuzia said being indecisive, I guess. And then I was gonna say like making sure everyone is vaccinated or they feel like comfortable going on a vacation.
Vaccinated, yeah, like coordinating people's comfort levels, travel comfort levels. Absolutely, because those could definitely be pain points. All right, let's put those down. All right, planning and research phase. What do we think some pain points might be there?
I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but kind of like managing expectations as it relates to different people's tastes when kind of like looking through Airbnbs. That's a thing for my friends for sure.
Oh yes, it's like how do we juggle what everyone wants? Like it's almost like yeah, like I'll just put managing because I think that captures it, like managing people's expectations, taste, like trying to please everybody, and you just can't. You can never win. Absolutely, I think that is like a perfect one for that. All right, booking phase. What might a pain point be during that time?
Okay, whose card are we?
Finance? Oh,
Go ahead, Kiani.
money. Yeah, whose card?
Mm-hmm. Whose card? And like also like the checkout page might not work. Break. It's just like
There's always
coordinating
someone
payment.
who doesn't use Venmo. So then you have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, how to coordinate. Yes, absolutely. There's always that challenge. We need to figure out like what people owe, like figuring out who owes what. Yes, absolutely. All right, vacation. What might some pain points be? Some of them came up during our feelings and touch point piece.
Most restaurants like would not allow dining. It's just takeout.
Restaurants might not Signing. Yes. What else we got?
COVID.
Slash other people not being safe. Yes, definitely a thing. Those are good. I like these. We could probably have more, but those I feel like those are very good. All right, returning home. What might some pain points be? This is me navigating using Google Maps. I try. So I always get lost. Slash getting lost. Any other things that think might come up?
Maybe trying to get everyone out of the house on time.
Yes, trying to get everyone checked out within the checkout window. It's probably yes. Slash like coordinating people.
And also possibly traffic.
Huge pain point, especially like going like Hamptons back to the city if we're on a weekend or something. Nice. These are great. All right. So now we've gone through our actions, our touch points. We've dug into a bit like what the user might be feeling at each phase, some of the pain points might be experiencing. Are there some potential solutions that we think you might want to throw out to help make the idea phase, for example, a bit better, a bit easier?
Yeah.
Maybe like following travel influencers or like food blogs or something to get inspiration.
Yes. Following influencers or bloggers for inspiration. Good call out. Yeah, just getting some ideas that we are less stressed out about like figuring out what to do.
Maybe when getting vaccinated, letting the group know so that people can kind of check off who's been vaccinated and who's not.
In the group when vaccinated, like communication, please. Communication and transparency. Absolutely. Yeah, these are good. All right. Possible solution for the planning and research phase where we're looking at Airbnbs, we are putting together our spreadsheet, we're trying to get everything organized, trying to manage everyone's expectations and trying to please everybody. What might some possible solutions be for this phase?
I think like delegating tasks to different planner personas within the group.
Planners within the group. Yeah, like spread the burden around a little bit so it's not all in one person. Yeah, I think that's a really solid one. All right, we'll do for booking. What do we think might be a good solution there?
Having whoever is the best at math doing all the calculations.
Yes. That is the worst thing, trying to cobble together spreadsheet and then everyone's like, no, I don't know that much. Yes, you do. Math, doing the calculations. And even just like getting people to agree ahead of time, like what the budget is and how they'll be paying.
Like create a deadline for responses or something.
Yes. Create a deadline, milestones. Yes. Excellent. Got it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I'm gonna leave that alone. For vacation, what might some possible solutions be? We were talking about like, it's COVID, you're in a new place. People might not be being super safe, trying to navigate that. Restaurants might not be open. You're trying to coordinate a bunch of people. You might want to do different things. What are some potential solutions to make that phase easier?
Making reservations.
Ooh, good call. That way you don't like roll up to the place and it's like, sorry, we're closed. You're already sorted ahead of time.
Bringing extra masks for people.
Yes. Bringing extra masks. Nice. All right, some solid ones there. All right, and then returning home. We're driving back, we're unpacking, we're reminiscing, saying goodbye to people, maybe dropping people off at different houses. Maybe feeling like we don't want to go back to work. Might be getting lost along the way. We might be trying to coordinate a bunch of people to check out. What might be some possible solutions for this phase?
Leaving early to beat traffic.
Yes, leaving early to beat traffic. Absolutely. Anything else you want to add?
Getting familiar with the route before you start using Google Maps.
Yes, getting familiar with the route before hitting the road. Yeah, these are really solid, y'all. We created a customer journey map. Amazing. Look at this. Look at this fantastic thing we have now. And this can be a model that you can use for your projects going forward. Once you identify who your persona might be, what they probably want to solve is, what the different phases are, and you can do the same thing, going step by step, starting from the top, just breaking it down to actions, touch points, feelings, pain points, possible solutions, or adding in other potential buckets that might be important. Again, these things are meant to be tailored. The templates are meant to be like helpful and useful, and giving you the information you need to help inform potential user flows in the future, and what your solution might end up being. But yeah, so well done, everybody. We got that. We nailed that down in an hour. I know we are over time, but I'm happy to take questions and things like that. Otherwise, you feel free to shoot me a note, or on LinkedIn or anything if like folks have questions. I'll also be I have time that y'all can book for next week. So yeah, thank you all for contributing and participating in these activities and helping to make this journey map and empathy map come to life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ariella. This is so great. So team, squads, any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're designing for like a service or a product, do you have to have some sort of idea what the service or product is before doing a journey map?
I think you can, even before knowing what the service or product is, you can do a journey map, because it could be like even for the planning this trip thing, where you just want to go through the stages of what it means to go through a trip. This ultimately, like the possible solutions, this might materialize into a service, into an app, into a process, nothing at all. You might realize after doing this journey map that like this isn't really a space that our company wants to get involved in because it doesn't align with, our product vision. But this can be a way to help you define what that might look like.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question.
I don't have any questions right now, but I see myself emailing you about the service blueprint because that's something that I think we'll work on. But yeah, I'll email you.
Perfect. No, that sounds great. Happy to chat about all the
Thank
maps, all the blueprints. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anytime. All right. Well, I think also I appreciate that it's over the hour and people might want to like not be on Zoom throughout the rest of the evening. So yeah, anyone has questions after, yeah, feel free to shoot email, connect. And again, also we'll have booking hours next week. Happy to talk about any of this stuff or anything UX adjacent. I got you. So yeah, thank you all for being such a great group to work through this with. Thanks, Kezia, for inviting me to come speak. Glad to be here.
Great. Thank you so much, Ariella. Again, thanks everyone for joining in, and have a good rest of your night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Chat soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.